Welcome to the Primo's Musings podcast.
Good evening. Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. And I think we've been struggling to do this podcast. Unfortunately, a lot of technical glitches we had, but I think we're back for the first major of the golf tournaments. The Golf Majors 2025 Masters runs from April 10th to 13th at the Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. This is the golf tournament that you have the famed green jacket. Previous year winner is Scottie Scheffler, but you got a lot of other players. So Dr. Dan and I will start diving into some of the favorites, and also we typically do some dark horses. So Dan, how do you want to do it this time? Pick two favorites and two dark horses?
Yeah, we can do it that way. That's fine. Yeah, why not?
Okay, so before we get started, quickly recapping for the listeners out there, last year's 2024 had Scottie Scheffler won the Masters, you had PGA won by Xander, you had the US Open won by Bryson DeChambeau, and then the Open Championship won again by Xander. So Xander won 50% of the four majors. And I would consider him as a favorite along with Scottie Scheffler. So quickly, let's go down to your preview for this year's Masters, and then we'll quickly go down to some trivia as well. I do have a couple of trivia questions, I think.
Yeah, so it's been kind of a slow start to the PGA Tour season thus far. There hasn't been a whole lot of huge names that have won early on the tournaments thus far. Well, I guess by that I mean Scheffler still has not. He's still waiting for his first win of the season after the season he had last year, where I think he won I don't know 6 or 7 tournaments. He had one of the best seasons since Tiger's historic season like 15 years ago. So coming off that year, it's going to be hard to repeat that, obviously, but he's been off to a little slow start. And Scottie had that injury back in December, that home injury where he cut his hand with a glass and required some stitching by a hand surgeon. And I think that maybe played a little bit of a role in him just kind of getting the feel back, getting the swing. It's got to affect things a little bit, how the grip feels in the palm of the hand. So I think he's maybe struggled a little bit thus far due to that. But last week at he was playing at the Houston Open. I think he had a solid second place finish. He kind of gave a good challenge to it was I think Min Woo Lee, the Australian, who won the tournament last week. Scottie was within 1 or 2 strokes, and I think he looked like he was back in form. His putter was working well. The rest of his game looked pretty solid. So I think the big storylines, though, in this tournament is really like you kind of mentioned the two big names, obviously, right now in golf, 1 and 2 in the golf rankings, Scottie and Rory. And they're the two big storylines. Scheffler, if he won, as you mentioned, last year at the Masters, and he won 2 years prior to that. So if he were to win this year, it'd be 3 out of 4. It would be a repeat champion, which this could be a trivia question, but it'd be the first repeat champion that I read since 2001. So we'll come up with some other trivia. So it'd be a big deal. Not many guys repeat, believe it or not, at the Masters. You'd think there would be more. Remember, Spieth had a good chance a few years ago to repeat.
There's 4 people, 3 people who have repeated, and we'll get to the question later.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't read that one, so that'll be good. I remember Spieth had a good chance a few years ago, but he dumped the ball in the water on the par 3 on number 12, the famed 12th hole. So that's one storyline, is Scottie going to repeat? And the second storyline is really Rory once again. It's when is Rory going to end his major drought? And that drought goes back now to the PGA Championship at Valhalla 2014. So 11 years, so 44 tournaments almost since he's won a major. Hard to believe, right?
Hard to believe, especially considering the fact that Rory did win 2 tournaments leading up to the Masters. One was the Pebble Beach one, and the other one was the one he won, which was actually a Monday. That was in the TPC Sawgrass. that he won just maybe 2 weeks ago. One of my buddies was actually there, the famed 17th hole that everybody knows, the par three. But as we were talking, I just saw a ticker that just came up that Brian Harman just won the Texas Open. Brian Harman, who had won I think he won the 2023 Open Championship in Royal Liverpool in London. So he's actually coming off hot as well. So when you look at the players who have been playing lights out, I think, like I said, Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy. Obviously, you have to talk about Xander, then Morikawa, and one of the guys I always pick as my sleeper would be Ludwig Aberg. And of course, we also have the Hideki Matsuyama, based on recent form and rankings. And I think those are the favorites going into the Masters starting on the 10th. And of course, the golfers have already arrived in Augusta. They have the Champions Dinner, which Scottie Scheffler usually picks the menu for. And then you have the famous par 3 tournament as well. But let's quickly dive down to, who would be the favorites, and we all mentioned all these names, but your favorites that you want to
Yeah.
talk.
So I'm going to go with Scheffler until he loses. I picked him in every major last year, and it worked in one of them. And at the Masters, I think he would have won the PGA if not for that whole crazy mishap with the police officer there. I think that shook him up, and then his caddy was gone on Saturday too from the PGA. So I think that ended his chances. And then, but yeah, I'm going to go. Like I said, I would have been a little more hesitant to pick Scottie if not for the good performance he had last week at the Houston Open, but he looked so solid there. Like I said, the putter was really in good form, and the rest of his game is always solid with his driver and his irons. So I'm definitely going Scheffler for the win with my first pick. And then if I have to pick one other player I'll say we can make 2 picks from the top 10. I'm looking at the top 10 official world golf rankings. So if we pick 2 guys from the top 10, then our dark horses have to be outside the top 10. I would also take number 7 ranked player right now in the world, Russell Henley. He's had a bunch of good showings. I think I heard of him on one of the podcasts last week. One of the Masters, previews, Gary Williams podcast, 5 Clubs. I was listening to that. They were big on Russell Henley, and he's a solid player. He's been T to green. They say he's as good as anyone. Great ball striker. So I'll take him for my second pick. I'm not going to take Scheffler and Rory, but I don't think Rory's going to win anyways. I'll leave Rory to you if you want.
No, I usually like to pick Rory. Rory has actually been playing lights out, but we all know what happened in one of
US
the Masters. I think even in the Masters, right? I'm actually thinking about the Masters letdown that he had. I think we all remember the 2011, I think the back nine meltdown that he had. He was leading by four shots going into the final round. Again, we're talking 14 years later, but he imploded, triple bogey on the 10th that I was reading about. And I think I was watching it live, so I do remember it, but slowly coming to, I'm trying to remember all the things that happened during that. But he finished with an 80, dropped to 15. He was up by 4. So that's probably I would say that's the second famous letdown after Greg Norman had a 6-shot lead. So I should count that as well. But if you ask me who are my picks, and it should be in the top 10. I'm going to go with this guy, Ludwig Aberg. I'm going to go with this guy. He's like world number
Like 3 or 4.
five,
Yeah.
five or 4. I think Colin Morikawa is 4.
5. Yeah.
Ludwig is 5. So he's my pick to win the Masters. I don't want to bet against Scottie, but Ludwig has been playing well. He's actually playing much better this year. So we'll go with Ludwig. And then as far as one of them, should it be in the top 10 or the outside of the top 10 is okay?
I mean, you can take 2 picks in the top 10 for your favorites if you want.
So 2 picks in the top 10, I would go with Colin Morikawa and then Ludwig.
Yeah, I like those picks.
Okay.
You mentioned Shoffley. I think Shoffley's had some kind of injury situation he's been dealing with this year. One of the last tournaments he played in, he said to his caddy, his driving is this is as bad as he's driven a ball in years. So I think he's searching for something right now due to whatever injury it is that he's coming back from. I don't know if it was a little back injury he tweaked, or I'd have to ask our. We have to do some research on that, but I hear he does have an injury he's dealing with a little bit this year. So that's affecting Xander. So not much faith in
As for
Xander.
my, as far as my pick for the dark horse, and I'm going to go on the limb here. I usually like to pick Sahith Theegala because I think he's due. He's been playing well. He was again featured in the season 3 of the Full Swing, which I managed to finish finally. But I was also very intrigued by, I think you mentioned this person, the Australian Min Woo Lee, who was a pretty amazing Netflix series. Didn't realize his sister is actually a major champion. So, yep, that you'll see when you see the Full Swing, you'll know about that. And he's actually climbed the rankings. He's right now in the top 30. Yeah, kind of a very interesting character. He's more on social media, but extremely great striker of the ball. And the Netflix series that you will see on him is very interesting. I mean, I learned a lot about him, especially that was a one they were trying to see how these players are trying to qualify for the Paris Olympics, and then Min Woo Lee was the other person other than Jason Day from Australia too. So very interesting, like I said, character has been playing well. So he's my dark horse. I mean, I wanted to pick Sahith, but I think I picked Sahith once last year. So this time I'm going to go with Min Woo Lee, and quite an exciting player. He's definitely someone that I think you'll be hearing more of.
All right, so you can. I said we said we go two dark horses. So
Two.
take
Okay.
Sahith. So you got
Oh,
Sahith
okay.
and
I'll take
Wood.
side too.
Two
I mean,
favorites dark horses.
there are others like uh, there's another guy called Sam Ryder. I mean, he's not ranked way up, but he's like 191. But I'm not going out and picking him. But I'll pick somebody in the top 20 to 30, or maybe 19. That Sahith is 19. Min Woo Lee is 30. There's others like Matt Fitzpatrick, and who's also won a U.S. Open in Brookline, Mass. So I wanted to pick him, but I think I'll go with Sahith and Min Woo Lee. And who's your you picked
Yeah, I'm
Henley,
going
right?
with two of my golfers I really enjoy watching. One's an Englishman, one's an Irishman. Tommy Fleetwood and
Yep,
Shane Lowry. So I
yep.
think they're both like probably in the top 20, 25, in the world. But Lowry, they're both seasoned golfers who've played well, good results at the majors. They always seems like
Sweet.
they're always on the leaderboard come Saturday or Sunday. Shane Lowry and Fleetwood. Fleetwood's done well at the Masters historically, a few top 10 finishes, and
Yeah,
yeah,
they finished pretty well. I mean, both
yeah,
Fleetwood and I think Fleetwood
and
end up
Lowry,
to use number 27, but I think he's now Lowry again. He's a fan favorite.
yeah,
And one thing about Lowry is that when you put Ryder Cup on he's usually one of those guys who just comes up big
yeah,
in Ryder Cup. So I'm hoping like both, you know, my guy Ludwig and and Shane Lowry, because those two guys play insanely well in the Ryder Cup. So hopefully these guys can turn up a notch in the Masters. But so you have Scheffler and Henley,
you're
right?
right. Scottie and Henley, and then Lowry and Fleetwood, right?
Fleetwood, and I have Colin Morikawa and Ludwig, and I'm going with Min Woo Lee and Sai Tagala. So we'll see if those or if any of these 8 golfers make any headway into the in the Masters. But it's going to be very, the one thing that there are a lot of people were concerned about was with the Hurricane Helena. Seems like the golf course is in very good shape, from what I heard. Still didn't listen to the Five Clubs one. I think that's something that you're listening to. I'll probably listen to it tomorrow, but just doing the research on so far, I think it seems like these are the top golfers right now, especially Fleetwood, I mean, and Shane Lowry. Actually, last year, Shane Lowry finished 27th in the PGA rankings, but in through the first 3 months of this year, they both have climbed to the top 11, 12. So definitely they definitely would be contending right now when you look at it. So, and you know what? There's another guy that we have not talked about, which is Hideki Matsuyama, who is a previous year winner. And, if you look at it, Masters has the unique thing of they invite what, 90 golfers. I mean, all repeat champions are welcome. And Hideki Matsuyama has actually been playing well this year, as a matter of fact. He's like number 6 this year. So that's somebody who I thought I wanted to pick, but I think I'm going with the younger guy, which is Morikawa there. So
The guy I mentioned too, a live golfer now, but one of the most famous golfers in the world right now, Bryson, with his popularity on YouTube channels and all that. He, as we know, won the famous shot at the 18th hole of Pinehurst out of the greenside bunker to save par, and then he finished strong at the PGA Championship too. I think second place to Xander. I remember that they were going back and forth on Sunday there. So, but from what I heard you'll hear on the Five Clubs podcast, he's had a bad start to the season on the Live Tour, but he hasn't done much so far this year. But he's got all the talent in the world. So and he's fared okay, I think, at the Masters over the years. I think he's had 1 or 2 top 10 finishes. So we'll see if he makes some noise on Sunday. I'm curious. The crowd will be behind him. He's a fan favorite, even though he went to Live. He is a fan favorite. He's endeared himself to the crowd once again.
I do think that the fans have slowly started to embrace the live golfers. I think you definitely want to see the best golfers out there on the course. I think the fans have actually moved past a lot of those live thing. I think I mean they're there to make money, and no one really watches live golf, but that you really want to see these golfers there. There are a couple of others that we've not talked about. One is an ex-Masters champion, John Rahm, and another person that you had actually picked in the past as a sleeper, Neiman.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's also in the Netflix season 2 of the Full Swing. But everybody out there right now when you ask the odds, I think it's right now between Scottie and Rory. I mean, it's amazing that even that Rory hasn't won something in 44 majors, but he's still the favorite by many people. When you go online and see like any of what are the odds, I think his name shows up again. The other one, of course, is Koepka. We another major winner that we haven't talked about at all. And we can mention this. I think this time we can say that Tiger Woods won't be playing. I think we don't have to predict on how he's going to finish. Injuries are definitely taking a toll on him. So Tiger won't be there, but ex-master champion and someone who has won back-to-back. And then why don't we get to the trivia question right now? So there have been 3 golfers. Okay, we already know Tiger, who have won back-to-back championships. So if Scottie Scheffler wins, he'll be the 4th, which is surprising considering I think it's the 90th, right? Is it the 9th? Yeah. So I think it's interesting to see why not many golfers have won, especially you had some amazing golfers, over the many years, and you've not seen a back-to-back champion there. I mean, a lot of people have won 2 Masters, but back-to-back. So who are the other 2 golfers?
So since in the history of the Masters, you're saying there's 3 golfers that have got back-to-back. Okay. It's got to be Jack Nicklaus.
That's a good one. Yep, that's it.
That's 2 out of the 3, right? You're saying there's one more out there, huh?
One more out there, and I think you know the guy. But
Nick
if I
Faldo.
give you,
Nick Faldo?
That's it. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one by Dr. DK with coming up with
He's got several. I think he has 3. I don't know how many Masters jackets, green jackets he's got, maybe 3, but I know he had a nice run in the 90s there. Yeah. Here's a quick one for you then also when I was doing my research for this. There's 3 golfers since we've talked about them all today. We've talked about 2 of them. 3 golfers since 1960 who have 5 or more major victories. three golfers. Since 1960, with 5+ major
We
wins.
talked about Kepka, I think, right? I think Kepka has five,
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
because I know Rory
And
has
he just,
four.
yeah.
So Kepka has five golfers. So obviously
Three
Tiger.
golfers. Three golfers have five or more major victories since 1960.
Okay, so one is Tiger,
Yeah.
obviously.
So you got Tiger and Brooks.
Tiger and Brooks, five majors.
We haven't
I
talked
was
about it
hoping
yet today for some reason, but we usually do.
Tom
We usually
Tom
bring them up.
Watson.
Good guess, but no, I would have thought that. Yeah, he must have been. I'm
Hmm,
surprised he's not one of them. Yeah,
really? Okay, and I was the other person I was going to guess was no, Mickelson didn't get five, I think.
he does. Yeah, no,
He does. Okay.
he's got three green jackets, and then he's won a British
Okay.
Open and a PGA. I know he hasn't won the U.S. Open yet, so he's won. I think he's won the PGA. Yeah, I remember he won a couple of PGA. I think he's won two PGAs.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah,
good trivia.
Tom Watson. Though, that's interesting. I'm surprised. I thought Watson would have had a 5+ since 1960, but I guess not. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Tom Watson had it, but I think for some reason I thought Mickelson had four, but I think you're right. So okay, that was close, but we didn't really get to it. But so we got the Masters done. This is the first major. This is the one everybody, Jim Nance will be on, and I know he'll be rooting for his Houston Cougars tomorrow, with his red, whatever sweater. I think they were showing yesterday on TV a little bit. I think he's been undefeated on that. But he'll be there to call the game, so call the action in Augusta. So really exciting. I think he's the no more to retire right now. I think he wants to do 50 of them. I think 2036 is when
Oh,
he's targeting
for Nick.
for that. Oh, so yeah, so yeah, you said you were correct about what?
Tom Watson. I just did a quick fact check. So my stats guy was incorrect in that giving me that trivia question. I'll have to send him a note. Tom Watson was also part of it. So we know there's at least four golfers since the 5+ major victories since 1960. I'm gonna look up my source, find out what happened.
I was impressed with the Tom Watson one. I missed out on the easy one, which is Phil
Oh,
Mickelson, but
yes, yes.
I'm very impressed with my Tom Watson answer there. So that's kind of, on Kepka, I knew that because I think when he won the last one, he surpassed Rory. Rory's still stuck at four. And
Yeah.
everybody after the 2011, um, everybody said Valhalla, right? I mean, after that, everybody said that here's a guy who could easily get to double-digit majors. So Scottie's got what? He's got three?
Scottie has only got two Masters. He
Two
hasn't
Masters.
won any tournament but the Masters yet, believe it or not. Yeah. And so yeah, he's won two Masters, and that's it thus far.
Wow.
Um, so the knock on him is, can he win anything but the Masters? And yeah, we know he will. It's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. But very interesting about the fact that Scottie Zoli's got two. I thought he had three, but so you have, if there's anybody you see in the current group of players, and it's getting increasingly hard. I mean, the fact that even Tiger won 15, right, is pretty incredible. And I mean, no one's going to touch Jack. And I've talked about this before. We've talked about this where Jack has not only won 18 majors, I think he was second in 19 of them.
Wow. Yeah.
I need to check my stats guy, but I think I'm right. But who do you think in the present group of golfers? I mean, Scheffler, you think can get to double digits? Remains to be seen. He's young still.
Yeah, I mean it's getting to be tougher and tougher. But I think the ones right now. I mean, we would have thought Rory 10 years ago easily, but now that he hasn't won since 2014, I think that ship has sailed. So yeah, I think Scottie, and there's just so much competition out there as we see. It's just so hard. Like right when we think we see some guys going to break out, like Spieth, and be the next guy to challenge Tiger, it's just he has a good year or two, and then he just kind of disappears. Like we kind of even see in tennis a little bit, like right with Carlos, right? I thought Carlos Alcaraz. We'll talk about that with the French coming up. we thought he would get 10 or 12 or 14 before we blinked, and now he's struggling a little bit. So it's tough to maintain greatness. That just makes like Tiger and Jack, all that much more amazing what they did.
I got another trivia for you. So we talked about Tom Watson, we talked about Phil Mickelson. They actually have 6 majors each. Looks like it. Okay, so who are the other 2 who have won 6 majors?
Besides Tom and Phil, who have 6 majors. Let's see here. Exactly 6 or more? Could it mean exactly 6?
No, exactly 6. Exactly 6.
Oh, man.
There's other like Walter Hagen and those guys. Ben
I think
Hogan.
Gary Player and Arnold Palmer had
9.
more than 6, right? They had Gary
9.
Player.
Gary Player and Ben Hogan had 9 each.
Who else are we missing? Koepka, we said, has 5. How about like a Bernard Longer? Somebody like that? No,
not Longer. No.
Let's see. It was 6. How many others? How many others are there?
So there's 2 others.
2 others.
We just talked about one of them.
Well, like a Seve Ballesteros.
No. Interesting. But Nick Faldo.
Oh, Faldo has 6. Okay.
Seve won 5.
Oh, okay.
So we actually have a lot more players who won 5. Seve is after 1960. So I do think that I was going to mention Seve's name. Someone I really, really liked. And I think, was it like the 40th anniversary of Seve's winning the Masters that John Rahm won it too?
I think that's right. Yes. Okay. So there's one other one who had 6, and we're stuck on that one. I'm stuck on that one.
Yeah. This guy used to come to a lot of when prior to we had the Travelers, it was the GHO, and prior to that. So this guy's an older golfer, quite very, very famous golfer who used to come to even the GHO, I think. Lee Trevino.
Oh, wow. No idea.
6 majors, yeah. So, yeah. And then, of course, we got, we started with the, Jack and Tiger, but I think we talked about Walter Hagen was 11, and then Hogan and Player with 9 each. And then several golfers have won 7, but I think that's going to be a tough one for us. Maybe we'll do another day. Name at least one golfer who has won 7 majors. How about that? This should be an easy one.
Yeah, one is one set besides the ones we already talked about. That's got, Gary Player and Arnold Palmer, those 2.
Palmer, yes. Palmer won 7. Gary Player won 9. So there you go.
Player and Palmer, that's easy. Oh, I got the clarification on that trivia question that was erroneous on my behalf. So I looked it up. It was a YouTube channel I was watching a preview on. So it's one of 3. Koepka is one of 3 golfers born since 1960 with 5+ majors. That's the key that I neglected to mention. So he's one of 3 golfers who's 65 or younger. So he's born since 1960. That make him 65 or younger who have won 5+ majors. So still pretty elite company. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So no, that's pretty good. And like I said, the one that Scheffler won was the FedEx Cup, right, towards the end.
Yeah, he's won a FedEx Cup one, maybe twice, and he's won he won like every elevated event last year. He's won plenty of tournaments and money, but only 2 Masters so far, which is surprising. It's just that he's dominated the PGA Tour the last 3 years, but only two majors so far to show for it. So yeah, Xander's got the same number of majors as Scottie Scheffler. So yeah.
So, and he won it in 1 year, which was last year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well,
this is good. I think we finally managed to get it through, and I should try to get the Masters theme song in there for the golf thing. So I think it may be White Lotus time right now, and then we'll do the
plug in for our favorite show of the White Lotus and enjoy.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Thanks. We got it through. Anyway, good night, guys.
Right.
Good night. Bye.
Have a good night. Enjoy.
Hold on.
Thanks for listening. Primo and Dan will be back soon.